Imagine waking up to emergency alerts on your phone, sirens echoing through downtown streets, news anchors struggling to process the unthinkable. Iran has targeted U.S. cities, not American bases overseas, not ships in the Gulf, but cities where millions of civilians live, work, and sleep. What happens next? First comes shock, confusion, fear. Within minutes, local authorities would activate emergency response systems. Police, fire departments, and medical teams would flood the streets. Hospitals would switch to mass casualty protocols. Airspace would likely shut down nationwide. Financial markets could halt trading almost instantly. But the real shift would happen in Washington. The president would be rushed into a secure briefing room. Intelligence agencies would race to confirm attribution. Was it a direct Iranian strike? A proxy group? A cyber operation designed to cripple power grids and communication systems? In modern warfare, the battlefield is no longer just physical, it's digital. If Iran were confirmed responsible for targeting American cities, it would be considered an attack on the U.S. homeland itself. And that changes everything. The United States maintains layered missile defense systems designed to intercept incoming threats. Systems like Patriot and THAAD are built to protect key areas. But no defense shield is perfect. Even one successful strike would trigger enormous political and military consequences. Within hours, military readiness levels would surge. Naval fleets would reposition. Strategic bombers could be placed on alert. Cyber Command might begin offensive operations to disable Iranian military networks and communications. Then comes the question of retaliation. Any administration, regardless of party, would face overwhelming pressure to respond decisively. Congress would demand action. The public would demand protection. Allies would demand clarity. Retaliation could involve large-scale airstrikes targeting Iranian missile facilities, air defenses, command centers, and Revolutionary Guard infrastructure. The objective would be clear: eliminate Iran's ability to strike again and send an unmistakable message that attacks on U.S. cities cross a red line. But retaliation carries risk. Iran has regional allies and proxy groups across the Middle East. Those groups could respond with their own attacks on U.S. embassies, military bases, or allied nations. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil passage, could become a flashpoint. Oil prices could spike overnight. Global markets could tumble. Inflation could surge. And beyond missiles and bombs, there's cyber warfare. Modern conflict isn't just explosions, it's power grids going dark, banking systems freezing, airports shutting down. A coordinated cyber assault could amplify the chaos, disrupting everyday life far from the original impact zone. The international community would scramble to contain escalation. NATO allies would consult under collective defense frameworks. The United Nations would call emergency sessions. Global powers like China and Russia would watch carefully, calculating their own interests in a rapidly destabilizing world. Inside the United States, security would tighten dramatically. National Guard deployments, curfews in affected cities, heightened surveillance, emergency legislation. The psychological impact alone would reshape domestic politics for years. But perhaps the most dangerous moment would be the hours after retaliation begins. Because once both sides are striking directly at each other's territory, the line between limited war and wider conflict becomes dangerously thin. Miscalculations happen. Signals are misread. Escalation spirals. Could it lead to full-scale war? Possibly. Could it be contained after a decisive counterstrike? Also possible. What's certain is this: if Iran ever targeted U.S. cities, it would mark a historic turning point. The conflict would no longer be regional. It would no longer be distant. It would be immediate, personal, and global. And in that moment, every decision, military, political, diplomatic, would carry consequences measured not just in strategy, but in lives. The real question isn't just how the United States would respond. It's whether the world could prevent that response from becoming something far bigger.